SAP has an amazing brand. We're one of the top-ranked brand companies in the world. So I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, which means I'm responsible for the development and the execution of marketing strategy around the world. If you're a marketing person, what that means is I have product marketing and field marketing, branding and advertising across all the different channels of how we get to the consumer. SAP's product, maybe the easiest way to describe it is through our brand promise. We help the best-run companies on the planet do what they do even better. So in a very real sense, anybody, maybe you. We provide value to companies of all size, from very small companies of under 10 people to the largest companies on the planet. Historically, we primarily sold to the executive suite, the CEO, the CIO, information officer, but increasingly we now have applications that are targeted to specific business functions. Someone in HR, somebody in finance, somebody in sales. It's a really incredible, exciting time at SAP. We have new products, we're entering new markets and new countries. And so there's a lot that marketing can do to help it. And really we're focused on 4 things. The first is, how do we talk about the value of the things that we sell in ways that are really simple to understand and really clear to people? The second thing we do is, how do we help people discover the products we have, try them out, and hopefully eventually acquire them? The third thing is, customers want to buy things, but they want to do it in a journey, not all in one step. And that means they actually touch the company in lots of different ways, sometimes with a sales rep, sometimes over the web, sometimes with a partner. We have to streamline all of those so they're orchestrated in a way. And the fourth one, and maybe the one that's most fun, is we're helping people understand how SAP touches their lives, not just their business. So let's think about it. Until recently, what happened to you in your personal life and what happened to you in your work life felt very different. In your personal life, you had access to any information you want. You could go on the web, search for things, get the data. You were in control. In the work life, the software and the systems were built so information technology people are in control. And that distinction is starting to break down. The same kind of tools and techniques that are used in your personal life are now being used in your work life. The same kind of thing is happening in marketing. In the so-called good old days of marketing, I don't know when they were exactly, but sometime in the past, as marketers, we thought we controlled the message. We try to decide, here's the adjectives and the adverbs and the words that describe my product, and I'm going to make sure every brochure, every website, every video, every customer testimonial uses those same messages. That's not the way marketing anymore is. Marketing is very social, and now we don't control the message, we might what's called orchestrate it. We might actually wade into the conversation, we amplify it. We find other people telling the stories and we connect them to people who want to hear it. We may not be in the middle, but we get involved. So it's more important to be active in the social sphere, even for a marketer, than just sit in the back office and write stuff all the time. But the brand and the way we've expressed it through our best run and our run better advertising has been about our association with the best companies on the planet. What we want to do is make that a little more human, not just talk about what we do for the companies, but what we do for the people inside the companies as well. So you're going to see a shift in the advertising voice to be a little more human, is the word I like to appeal a little more to the average person on the street, again blending that difference between B2B and B2C. Yeah, it's kind of a strange thing to say digital is dead. What do I mean? So it wasn't that long ago that if you had a phone in your house, you might describe it as a cordless phone. You did that because the generation before had phones that actually had cords on them. And so you wanted to distinguish the old phone from the new cordless phone. But nobody says cordless phone anymore. It's just a phone because the adjective's not used anymore. The same thing's happening in marketing. These days, nobody calls email digital. It's just email. It's just a way of communicating. And I believe that saying digital marketing and focusing on the digital is doing it a disservice. It's just marketing. It's a channel of marketing on the web. It's a channel of marketing through email. It's a channel of marketing through Facebook or Twitter or other social things. It's not a different thing. It's just part of marketing. There's been a debate inside of marketing for a long time called, is business to business marketing, B2B, different to business to consumer marketing, B2C? And I think it's a silly conversation because really what we want is people talking to people. Now, what do I mean by that? In the old days, when we thought there was B2B, we told stories to companies, big brick buildings. We talk to them, but big brick buildings don't buy anything. They don't actually even listen to what you say to them. So we don't want to talk to the companies, we want to talk to the people inside the companies. On the other hand, again, before the advent of social media and the things that work now, companies told messages. But now we want people to do the talking as well. You want to actually hear the authentic voice of the people inside the company. So it's people inside of SAP talking to the people inside of our customers. That's people talking to people, or P2P. Less about B2B or B2C. So we use 3 R's: reach, results, and relevance. Let me tell you what I mean about that. Reach is basically how many people we touch, but not just how many people we touch in the building where Sapphire Now is, but people that we touch online, through social media channels, through partners, etc. Those are the big numbers. The second is results. Results is, do we change people's impression about what SAP is? Do we actually accelerate the pipeline, actually move deals forward? Do we close revenue as well? And finally is the relevance, which is the outside-in metric, which is how do the people that show up here feel about it? Do they think it's a good event? Did it meet their needs? Or did it come across the way a traditional event was, which is, well, that's just what SAP wanted to talk about. So wide reach, very good results, and relevance that fits the customer's needs. So one of the things we've done to sort of highlight what SAP is doing for the world is emphasize not just the stories of how we help companies run better, but how we help the people inside companies run better. In fact, we've gone beyond that, which is to talk about how we help our customer's customer. So the customer of our customer. Let me give you a couple examples. You may or may not know that 72% of the world's beer is actually manufactured using SAP systems, which is kind of a fun fact. But if you're not a beer person, then 70% of the world's chocolate is actually manufactured using SAP customers as well. In fact, if it's beer and chocolate, then you should probably actually know that 86% of the world's running shoes, because you need the running shoes after you have the beer and chocolate, are manufactured. So beer, chocolate, running shoes, you can see the impact on the world. But it's not just traditional companies like that. We can actually reach 75% of the world's people through the mobile network using SAP systems as well. And when you tell stories like that, you tell how SAP is changing your lives, not just in traditional technology speak. The other things you're going to see is us get involved in a surprising way. It turns out that the same techniques we use to help companies run better, we can use to help sporting teams run better as well. We can use to help music aficionados run better. So that'll be another surprising way you'll see us take and stretch the brand to make it feel a little more human.
My name's Scott Schenker. I'm the Vice President of Global Events at SAP. And I'm responsible for all of the proprietary events that we do, Sapphire Now, Tech Ed, World Tour programs, things of that sort. My role is to ensure that our corporate objectives, our marketing objectives are brought to bear through the events that we do around the world and throughout the year. There is a fundamental mistake often made in marketing, in organizations, in enterprises, that events are a logistical undertaking. That the characteristics of an event are those things that are most visible, the setup of the environment, the branding, the selection of a venue, the transportation, the motivation and excitement and entertainment of the community who's there. And the truth is that the primary aspect of the event should be to bring forward the corporate message, the marketing message, the corporate objective, the marketing objective of the organization. There has to be an absolute synergy, an alliance, a connection between what the organization is looking to accomplish and what the event does, but equally important, what the attendees are looking to accomplish and what the event can bring to them. Those objectives then have to align to an event strategy. If you don't have the event strategy well articulated, well understood, then all the execution components will actually potentially fight what you're trying to accomplish rather than support and align what you're trying to accomplish. We cannot be all things to all people all the time, so we have to determine what we are going to be at that event at that moment. So we use a process called the red thread, which ensures that our corporate messages are consistent, that we're using the same terminology, that we're using the same go-to-market, so that we're ensuring that everybody's hearing, being heard, and part of the conversation of what our priorities will be at the event. SAP's event strategy and event portfolios is quite large. We participate in or we execute over 2,000 events a year on an annual basis and on a global basis. Sapphire Now is one of our most important annual events. It is a global event that takes place each year, and it's aimed very much at the entire community, the entire SAP community. In late 2009, we started a transformation of Sapphire Now, which was set out to be a 3-year transformation of the program to ensure that it was innovative, relevant, and essential to all of the attendees. It was to ensure a change in the reach, an expansion of the reach, to ensure an increase in the relevance to all of our stakeholders, and ultimately at the end of the day, to improve and increase the results of the program. We introduced, as part of that expanded reach, increased relevance, increased results, several tactics. One of them was the recognition and the shift from presentation to dialogue, from presentation to conversation. And that fundamentally influenced our content strategy. One of the fundamental elements of the transformation of Sapphire Now was recognizing that there is a change in the way people consume information. Information used to be in long form, whether that was half-hour television programs, whether that was articles in newspapers, whether that was a traditional educational breakout session. And we've recognized that consumption of information now is much smaller. It has to be much more digestible. It has to be much more your choice, pull rather than push. It has to be much more to the point, but also connected to others. It's almost chaptered. There are several innovations that we brought then to Sapphire Now to allow for this digestible, consumable information to be disseminated. All of our breakout presentations are 20 minutes or less, period. All of our keynotes are 30 minutes or less. And if there is more story to be told, then you have a second chapter, whether that second chapter is another presentation or whether it changes channels and goes from a presentation to an online. So what we noticed naturally was that when a presentation was over, some people would go to the front of the room and start to have a carry-on conversation with the presenter. It was a natural thing that was already happening. We just stopped and looked, took a step back and looked and said, look what's happening. There's a natural conversation that's taking place after that presentation. We should recognize that. We should facilitate that. And we did exactly that. There will always be a period of time at the end for that conversation with the speaker to take place. Now, this doesn't have to be just the physical. This can be online as well. We absolutely extend the content and the experience from our physical events online. Our online strategy is to ensure that there is either real-time and/or on-demand access to the content. We redesigned our online strategy to move away from the attempts to look like a physical event and recognize that it was really about how you could navigate the content to make it online, on-demand, real-time, searchable, accessible. And if you go to sapphirenow.com, you will see that it is much more about content management, about searching, finding, seeing, replaying the content from the event. Being relevant to the attendee is not about replicating the physical environment, it's about making it easy and quick to get to the content that is relevant to you. Part of what we've transitioned in the last several years was a move from the traditional event model of the company talking to the attendees to a series of opportunities for the attendees to talk to themselves. So those conversations may be in small format, 10-person microforums. They may be talking to a partner, they may be talking to an existing customer, they may be talking to an expert on a particular industry or solution. Microforums are exclusively conversations. In fact, the rule is one slide or no slides to set the context for the conversation, and that's it. The rest of it is a table that seats 10 or 12 people And they know they're coming together to talk about a particular topic, but that's it. There's no formal presentation. There's a presenter who's almost more of a moderator, and the table has the conversation. And this becomes very exciting because we don't know exactly what the outcome of that will be when the show starts, but we do know that the people who will come together at that table will passionately discuss that topic. But the microforums have become very, very popular. We have several hundred of them a year at Sapphire now. The transformation of Sapphire Now was going from presentation to conversation and dialogue. That's true in social media as well. We didn't want the social media program to be about what we were pushing out. We wanted it to be about the community's dialogue and conversation. One of the innovations we looked at for social media was the creation of social reporters. These individuals physically at the event focused on one particular aspect of the program, whether that was analytics, whether that was mobility, and these social reporters cover the program with that particular audience, that particular area of content, that particular area of interest in mind in all of the things that they do. So now you could follow and participate in the entire social media program, or you could choose to just follow those individuals who are going to be talking to you about what you cared about, what was relevant to you. Social media, online, the individual's ability to create rich media has democratized the conversation. In the old days, however far back that was, marketing controlled the conversation and the message. Marketing does not control that any longer. The belief then that marketing therefore still controls all the channels is a fallacy as well. Marketing doesn't control the social media conversation nor the social media channels. You have constituents, you have part of your ecosystem who is going to actively participate in that conversation with other people in your system through that www.something, with or without your involvement. It is much better to recognize, accept, and include that in your planning than to hope that it doesn't happen. I think there's an interesting, if not somewhat misplaced, belief that people are drawn to channels rather than drawn to content. The challenge of a virtual event, disrupting physical attendance at a physical event, it's absolutely a relevant concern. If what you are offering at your physical event can be completely experienced through the virtual event, then yes, you should be nervous about the fact that that virtual event may gut the attendance at your physical events. But that to me is not a question that's answered by, should I be looking at that channel or not? That's a question that should be answered by, is my event relevant? Is my event compelling? Does my event have a reason for people to get together? There's a story that I love to tell. In the San Francisco area, in the Bay Area, there is a group called the Bay Area Social Media Group. They get together once a month for a breakfast. This social media group gets together physically once a month for an event. They absolutely could be doing this through social media. They could be doing this through a virtual event, through an online experience. You would almost expect them to. And yet they have recognized that physically coming together has a unique value proposition that the online aspect does not provide. And the truth is that the most successful events come from a community, a group of people who want to get together, rather than an event that is created that then tries to draw together a group of people who yet to see the value proposition of getting together. Events are not new, but they absolutely do need to be looked at in light of how they fit with everything else. How do they fit with your .com strategy? How do they fit with your demand gen? How do they fit with your regional activities? How do they fit with your sales activities? How do they fit with your internal communications activities? That exploration, that conversation absolutely needs to continue to take place. Fundamentally, part of marketing is a conversation and dialogue with your target, with your community, with your stakeholders, with all of your various stakeholders. Whether that is as B2B, B2C, or as we view it, people to people, the live experience is an absolute core aspect of that.